Moza did it again. New hardware is on its way. And this time around they're aiming at the mid-range with the all-new Moza R12. Is this something you should have a look at or that you can safely ignore? That's what we're gonna figure out today, and we're also gonna have a look at this beauty. Moza's new entry to the world of advanced steering wheels for GT and Formula fans, the KS. Ready? Then let's go! And with that, welcome back to Overtake.gg in yet another episode of Joe's Hardware Corner. And today we have a look at the Moza R12. And I know people are fuming right now at home, asking me why I'm not reviewing the Overtake Invicta pedals today. But I promise you, I will review them. They are already in the rig and being tested right now. But I got a message from Moza that I will be one of the first one ever to review the Moza R12. And who's saying no to that? We're also gonna have a look today at the KS Steering Wheel that also launches today together with the Moza R12, which comes with a 12 Nm direct drive motor, hence the name, and is available for either $589 or British pounds or 649 euros. Therefore, it slots perfectly between the Moza R9 and the Moza R16 and caters to advanced sim racers that actually know that 12 Nm is all you need. What took me a bit by surprise was the ultra slim form factor, making the R12 basically the same size as the R9. Heavy direct drive motors. Here we have them side by side. And as you can see, if I wouldn't tell you that one of the two is 1.5 centimeters longer than the other, the difference is just almost not noticeable. And I have to say, I dig the design. It's sleek, straightforward, and tucks away nicely underneath your monitor thanks to the compact housing. Also, mounting wise, I didn't run into any issues with the Moza R12 because it uses standard mounting holes at the bottom, which have the same dimensions as the ones on Fanatec hardware, which means that it's basically compatible with all the rigs out there. And although I haven't tested it, the Moza R12 still can be desk mounted. So even if you don't have a sim rig at home, there's a way to get this puppy up and running with a table clamp. And on the back side of things, you don't run into any surprises either. Let's have it in the second camera. As you can see, you can connect all kinds of things from the Moza multiverse, is what I would say. And then you have your power plug and also a USB connection. Sadly not USB-C yet, but the standard USB connection you find right here is a bit sturdier, so maybe not the worst decision ever. One wish that still remains from the R9 to the R12, for me at least, is that the on-off switch would be at the front of the wheelbase and not at the back. It's located, let's show it again, here, as you can see. And the thing with that is the placement itself is completely fine, but if you have it mounted to your sim rig like that and you want to fire it up, you always have to reach to the back and then search for the button because it's not really huge. Oh, there it is. And then you press it and the wheelbase turns on. But having it at the front would be so much easier, and it's not like you would touch it by chance because your hands are here on the steering wheel a good tad away from the actual wheelbase, so there wouldn't be any risk of touching it by accident and turning off your wheelbase while it's operating. So yeah, if you're thinking about getting a R12, just brace yourself for searching the on-off switch quite a lot. So are we looking at a simply stronger R9 here? Yeah, almost. The only thing missing with the R12 is some backwards compatibility when it comes to older wheel rims. I have it here with me. For example, this is the older GS steering wheel. This won't be compatible with the Moza R12, which is a bit of a shame, but they moved on from their old system, moving to their new one. And if you have one of these wheels in the second version, they will work fine, but the V1s of the GS, the RS and the CS, they are not supported, sadly. They were thinking about it, making it backwards compatible, so the unit I actually have is compatible with the steering wheel, but I decided to take it off the unit again to maybe keep the price, which is a good price for what you get. And the last point before we have a quick look at the KS steering wheel are the thermals. Just like with the R9, the design is really clever. It's not using any fans, so there won't be any fan noise coming from this, but it's also not getting really hot. Maybe warm to the touch, but nothing that you could burn your hands on or something like that. So the design in terms of thermals is really clever. Okay, we will come back to the Moza R12 and to my thoughts on the driving, but let's switch to the KS steering wheel for now and have a look at that one. This is a 300mm butterfly style GT wheel that is, at least in my opinion, reminiscent of the Williams F1 steering wheels. It ships for $279 or pounds, or for 309 euros, which is a banger price for what you get. This rim is super sturdy. It's built out of carbon fiber and steel, so I would say it has the perfect rigidness and feels high quality to the touch. Also, the buttons have a nice press to them, really satisfying to click them. Everything is also beautifully placed and reachable with your thumb, which is always of the utmost importance when it comes to such racing equipment. The shifters at the back, they are magnetic, but they feel a little bit flimsy because the material is actually really thin, so they were cutting costs with that design, but they work just fine, never had it misfire or anything like that, and they're not so loud like on other wheels from Moza, so good job there. But as I said, really thin pedal plates, so they don't feel super high quality. And if you bend them a bit like that, you can see there's a little bit of flex, but who's doing that? So on the normal operation, this will work just fine. Also, the band knobs on the front, they are made out of plastics instead of aluminum, like on the FSR wheel, for example, which I can show you here, which is the highest price model they have. This is a bit bigger for GT style racing, and this is a bit smaller for Formula style racing. But as you can see, the band knobs here, they're out of aluminum. Here they are made out of plastics. Again, helping to cut the costs to get a competitive price point for such a high quality wheel. Yeah, and overall I would say the KS steering wheel is really everything you need to play ACC, iRacing, and especially the new F123. I think it's the perfect fit for the game. It has all the buttons you need, so you can have your diff on this side, the brake bias on this side, then you have DRS, overtake button, and enough buttons for everything else, maybe traction control, ABS, I don't know if you even can toggle that while driving. But still, a perfect fit for F123, and if you're looking for a wheel that suits playing F1, this might be the one, if you can't afford the FSR, of course. But there is one big issue I have with the KS steering wheel. Again, the grips. Just like with the Forte wheel from Azatec, they are made out of rubber, which in theory is totally fine. It also has some benefits. The rubber won't get ruined like leather will with getting sweaty, and it's easy to clean it with a little bit of water. But there are some big downsides to rubber, which of course are being super uncomfortable to the touch when racing without gloves. They are super sticky, and over longer periods, if you run with a little bit of force feedback, for example with the R12, then this will, it will hurt your palms and will be really uncomfortable in longer playing sessions. And that's not all. You might think to yourself, then I'm using gloves and everything will be fine. Yeah, about that. Usually I'm not the one using fingerless gloves, but they were my backup gloves to use when my other ones have to go to the washing machine. They are brand new gloves. I'm not saying that they're super high quality, and maybe it's also fault of the gloves, but the rubber just destroyed my gloves. Do you see that? That was driving like half an hour with those gloves. Afterwards, I switched to the FSR wheel because I didn't want to ruin another set of gloves. And that, I have to say, is a deal breaker for me. Which is a real bummer for the KS steering wheel, because otherwise this is a great deal. You get a high quality steering wheel that can do everything you need and is good looking as well. But hey, you can't have it all, right? Maybe in the future they will decide on ditching the rubber grips, but until then it's a no for me on the KS steering wheel, sadly. But okay, that's my verdict for the KS steering wheel. Let's put that back. But let's finally talk about the driving experience with the Moza R12 and if I would recommend buying this thing. And maybe let's start there, that I love my Moza R9 to death. I was racing the R9 for 9 months as a daily driver and never had real issues with it. I loved the handling, and I also thought the R9 was strong enough to satisfy the feeling of having a real steering wheel in your hands. But there was one issue with the Moza R9, and that was slight clipping. Especially in Assetto Corsa, when racing with maybe 80 or 90% FFB strength, you would see a lot of clipping, which ruined the details, of course, in the finer parts, like driving over curbs or not having any other sensation than strength in fast corners. And the Moza R12 totally fixed that. Between 10 and 50 Newton meter seems to be the sweet spot between power and resolution without going over the top, which makes the Moza R12 a perfect wheelbase for everyone wanting to upgrade to direct drive, not wanting to break the bank and making no compromises. But other than this, the difference between the two is marginal. Most of the magic is happening in the software, and that is identical for the two. The Pithouse software offers quite a number of customization options, ranging from hands-off protection to filters like dampening, friction, inertia, and a fully customizable FFB equalizer that changes the rumbling at different frequencies. At the end, I only can tell you that I personally switched to Moza and never looked back to what came before. I think they offer awesome money to value products in all price categories, and the R12 is no exception here. The R12 is just a phenomenal choice when it comes to direct drive steering wheels for advanced sim racers. So if you're still running a belt-driven system, this might be the perfect choice to upgrade without breaking the bank. And as I said, the KS steering wheel also a good choice to pair with it, but keep in mind that the rubber grips are, yeah, maybe not everybody's first choice, or at least not my first choice. But overall, some decent and well-crafted additions to the roster of Moza. But of course, the R12 is in another ballpark comparatively to the Azatec Invicta wheelbase that I reviewed last. You can check the review out here. But that's it from me today. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time around. Cheers!